This can't be true. This can't be true, yo. This can't be true.
僕がうっかり潰しちゃって
Talking about our
そしたら
anime
2
while
点
let's
目
talk about our milking the goat.
ああ、あれはうまくいったな。
Is
その後
Is Rick
だね
Rick is a Morty confirmed. What? I don't believe that, yo. It's a film theory. Okay. Make me believe Rick is a Morty. Does he even explain or not?
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show where today we ask the eternal question, anime episode of the year, in fact. And normally this wouldn't be the sort of thing that I would dedicate an entire episode to. It's a fun little spin-off episode to keep the fandom engaged. Sure, fine, whatever. Get a few extra views for your Adult Swim YouTube channel. Get a bit more promotion to keep Rick and Morty on everyone's minds in the entertainment wasteland that is 2020. Yeah, I get it. You gotta run on that content treadmill, Rick and Morty. But here's why I'm dedicating a theory to these anime shorts. I think they're important. Or at least I think this latest one is important to the overall canon of the show. So much so that I think it might be hinting at answers to the biggest mysteries left remaining in this franchise, including the history of Rick Sanchez and his past relationship with evil Morty. No joke, Rick and Morty may have just told us everything we need to know about evil Morty in an 8-minute made-for-digital anime, which, come to think of it, probably isn't the strangest thing that this
Yo, if you
franchise
guys
has
have
ever
not watched
done.
Rick and Morty, go watch Rick and Morty. Best.
Surprised, but should I be? You see,
So
the first
out
anime
there right
short
now, to be
titled
honest.
Samurai
Hands down, no
Shogun
cap.
was released in the before times, back in March of 2020, and follows a
Do you guys like
different
Rick and Morty?
from
I love
the
Rick and Morty, yo. I love Rick and Morty.
72. It's extremely cool and extremely bloody, but there's not a whole lot of substance beyond our characters riffing on old samurai movies like Lone Wolf and Cub. No, it's the second one here that really matters. Released just a few weeks ago, Rick and Morty vs. Genocider explicitly calls out that we're watching the adventures of C-137 Rick.
奴らは C137 リックを見つけるだろう。
Unlike the previous anime short, which intentionally distanced itself from the action of the show by pulling a random Rick from a random universe completely disconnected from what we watch on TV, this one very specifically is drawing our attention to the fact that this is C-137 Rick. And it's more than just a fun action romp. It's drawing on the events and themes, and most importantly, the characters of the canon of Rick and Morty, the TV series. But first, a bit of an explainer of what this video is all about. And I know that explainer portions of videos can sometimes come across as something that YouTubers do to pad out the runtime, but believe me, this video needs the explainer. The number of WTF did I just watch comments that this thing has gotten is anything to go by. The short opens with Morty at the Citadel of Ricks. This video seems to take place after the Tales of the Citadel episode from season 3, because it appears that everything is under the control of evil Morty, who, if you recall, won the Citadel election at the end of that episode before promptly eliminating all his opposition.
Now is the time for action.
And if there's any doubt
that's what a guy, yo.
this
If you guys
is
have
evil
not
Morty,
seen this
well,
episode,
the end
yo,
of the
go
episode
watch
gives
it,
us
yo.
even more evidence, but we'll come to that in a second. Morty, worried that Rick is being hunted by a group called the Genociders, heads off to Tokyo to find him. As he walks around Tokyo, we see people starting to disappear. We're told that this is all part of the Genociders' plan. Destroy life by altering people's memories. We're shown a moment where Rick explains to Morty that reality as we know it is simply the state formed by the consensus of human memory.
時間とは概念的な道具に過ぎん。
Yeah, merch. And I have a Discord, so if you want to join my Discord, bro, is the best way to Discord best way to contact me outside of streaming too. I do giveaways too. I'll be doing a 5-sub giveaway. 500 followers, so we're legit 22 followers away. So do appreciate you, buddy. Come to the stream, hands on no cap. I'll be announcing the giveaway a day before the giveaway on my Discord. So if you want to join my Discord, the link is gonna be right here in the chat.
You're projecting out to create a target for your future. But without those past memories to guide
do appreciate
the
you come
way
to
to
stream,
form
but I really do
foundation
mean
upon
that.
which the present and future are built, everything collapses. Which I presume is why people are disappearing from the cities. Morty eventually makes his way to the last place in Tokyo that's still humming. The seediest place in the city, Shinjuku Kabukicho. For those who don't know, Kabukicho is indeed a real place. The entertainment
That's such a
and,
weird
more
name, yeah.
red light district of Shinjuku, Tokyo. A place filled with host and hostess clubs and the sort of hotels that charge you you by the hour. It also has a really awesome robot restaurant with a really catchy theme song that plays at all hours of the night, where you descend down into a basement to watch animatronics create fire hazards literal feet from your face. I did a video all about that over on Game Theory. You can watch it in 360, in fact. That was a wild night. Anyway, it's not really explained how this is the one part of the city where there's still people. Maybe it's because people living in Tokyo's so-called sleepless town are always forming new memories, or maybe it's because they're boozing it up so hard that they never had any memories to begin with. But at any rate, this place definitely sounds like Rick's idea of a good time, so it comes as no surprise when Morty is able to find him there. Rick gives Morty a vial of some blue potion, saying, "Once I'm gone, take this. It'll make you Rip Van Winkle," referencing the old American folktale about a man who drinks a mysterious potion, falls into a deep slumber for 20 years, and then wakes up to a completely different world. At least, that's what the English subtitles are saying. If you listen to the original spoken Japanese dialogue, Rick actually tells Morty that drinking the vial will turn him into Urashima Taro. Here, I'll play it for you.
Urashima Taro.
Did you hear it? Urashima Taro is a character from an old Japanese folktale about a fisherman who leaves home on a fantastical adventure and returns to discover that 100 years have passed in his absence. It's similar to Rip Van Winkle, but with a few important distinctions. Make a note of that, we'll come back to it in a minute. Anyway, Rick explains that the potion is made with the secretions from the alien brain parasites that we saw in the season 2 episode Total
post up
Recall.
on my YouTube
In
channel
case you
too.
forgot this iconic episode, it's the episode where
very
the Smith family
consistent,
has to
and I
deal
take
with
stream
alien
very seriously
parasites
too,
that
because like
reproduce
quality
by
wise, like
creating
I did
false
as
memories,
invested
which
in
manifest themselves
mic,
as new alien
on a
parasites.
$1,000
It's also
camera,
the episode where everyone's favorite Mr.
a
Poopy
stream deck,
Butthole was first
a
introduced.
good keyboard, good
So
mouse,
again,
a monitor,
detail here
a
is that
PC
Rick
too to
gives Morty
stream.
a blue potion that somehow
I say free
related to
Fortnite,
memory
yo fuck
and memory
Fortnite. Don't ever
replication.
put
At
that in my
this
chat,
point,
yo.
Rick leaves
Fuck
Morty to go
Fortnite. I'm
fight the
tired of seeing
genociders.
Fortnite. Have you heard of the drama between Fortnite? Yeah, I've seen the Fortnite drama. I've seen the Fortnite drama. Yeah, I have. It's not a big deal. Fortnite makes a lot of money
An
regardless. Yeah.
explosion rocks the building. Rick
Apple
is set
takes some of the
flying, and a bunch
profit
of
while
portals open up,
Fortnite,
revealing an army of Ricks.
well,
Of
Fortnite
course,
in
our Rick
the
isn't
mobile app.
bothered by this. From his perspective, everything is unfolding exactly according to Kaikaku. Rick unleashes his powers to become Ultra Instinct Rick, and an epic anime battle ensues. The battle ends with an explosion that annihilates everyone, which reveals that the main genocider Rick was actually a robot all along. A robot controlled by none other than evil Morty back at the Citadel. This whole moment is a callback to the first time we were introduced to evil Morty back in Season 1, in the episode Close Rick Counters of the Rick Kind, when evil Rick is revealed to be
I need a new game, yo, new game, something fresh, something new, something that makes me want to keep watching this. You feel me? Love this song. I got you, Brody.
And in yet another parallel in both the anime and the episode, evil Morty crushes the controller under his foot. In short, the whole genocider threat was created by evil Morty to get our Morty to expose Rick C-137's hiding place. And while the assassination team might be dead, so is C-137, and apparently that's good enough news for evil Morty. Mission complete.
C-137 リックの生存は不可能です。任務完了だ。
Or is it? As evil Morty leaves the control room, an image of Rick appears behind him, taunting him.
So this is your time. It totally sucks.
He turns around, and Rick is nowhere to be
I
seen.
played Fortnite, but I
Was Rick's
still
taunt
think
merely a
Minecraft is better.
hallucination or
Yeah, I'll say
something more?
Minecraft is better than
Again,
Fortnite,
I'm
my
getting
opinion.
to that. Let's just finish describing this thing. We've got like less than a minute left. In the aftermath of the battle, we cut to a shot of a silhouetted figure wearing a lab coat, receiving a voicemail from Jerry, reaching out to his dear old father-in-law.
ジェリーです。お父さん、ニック、どこにいるんです？生まれましたよ。男の子です。
Rick, based on his profile, reaches for that familiar hip flask, except when he places it back down, it's shown not to be the hip flask, but the vial of memory potion that Rick had given Morty earlier in the episode. Roll
Tell
that
me
JoJo beat!
why he came in my demons though.
So
I
as
don't
you
know.
can see, there's a lot
What do you
to
say, though?
unpack here. I'm going to present two possible interpretations.
Oh, yeah, I
There's
got you,
one
I
that
got
seems
you.
to be among the more popular theories floating around
yeah,
the
yeah,
internet,
that's
and
you,
the
I
other
got
of
you, I got
which
you
is
then.
my personal theory, one that I think meshes best with what we're shown both inside the anime short as well as the Rick and Morty series as a whole. The first interpretation is this. At the end, when Rick fights against the assassination squad and dies, Morty takes the blue memory potion. This not only allows Morty to absorb Rick's memories, but physically transforms him into Rick. From there, Morty, with his newly acquired Rick memory, memories, rebuilds Japan. As we saw in the anime battle, the entire city got destroyed, so it's up to Morty as the new Rick to reset the world back to a time 14 years before, when Morty was born. He does this somehow. The video kind of hand waves this away, but you know, it's Rick. He has hundreds of backup plans for these sorts of situations. Anyway, with the city now reset to where it was 14 years ago by Morty Rick, the cycle begins anew, and the events of the past begin repeating themselves. It's a time loop story, except without any actual time travel, because as we know, Rick and his creators always talk about how much they hate time travel. I mean, he even mentions it in this episode.
Some of us said nowadays the point is time
One
travel
strong
would
piece
be.
of evidence supporting this theory is that Rick
Because I
tells
told him to get
Morty
on my
that
demon,
drinking
he was
the
trying to
memory
1v1 him in
potion
a
will
war
turn it
zone,
into
then I
Urashima
blocked him, he
Taro.
came in my
In the
demon
old
talking
folktale,
man
Urashima
shit.
Taro is a fisherman
so
who
I'm
rescues
sorry
a
that-
turtle,
sorry that
and
he
as a
did that,
reward,
though,
the turtle
to be
takes him on a
honest.
magical adventure down to the Dragon Palace beneath the sea. There, he meets with the Princess Otoime, and spends what he believes to be several
Yeah, but I would
days.
not, that's the reason why like, I had to tell you guys that, because you guys
given
are
a
being
mysterious
too
jeweled box.
too,
The princess tells
too
him that the
toxic in
box
the
will
chat, to
protect
be
him,
honest.
but that he shouldn't open it. Taro returns
You
home.
may always say
discovers
to be
that
the, be,
although
always
only
be
a
the
few
bigger
days
person.
have
At
passed
the end
for
of the day,
him,
you know,
more than
never let other
100
people's
years
saying ever
have
get
passed
to you.
back
'Cause at the end of the day, you know,
Everyone
they're
and
just hating. You feel
everything
me?
that
That's
he
how I see
remembered
it.
from his
You feel
home
me?
village is gone. When he opens the forbidden jewel box that he was given by the
Fresh was
princess,
the
he
one they're
becomes
talking
an
back
old
and forth
man.
with.
Now, a lot of things fit here. Mostly the idea that when Morty drinks the potion, he literally becomes an old man.
Just be the,
He
always be the
becomes
bigger
his
person in any
grandfather,
situation.
Rick.
I know
After
sometimes
all,
it's annoying
Rick
being the
did
bigger
tell him that the
person,
potion, when
but
consumed,
at
would
the end
turn
of the
Morty
day,
into
haters will
Urashima
never
Taro.
win if you never show them
Maybe he
that
meant
it gets to
bit
you. You
more
feel me?
literally than any of us could have imagined. A similar but slightly different interpretation is that Morty isn't transformed into Rick by the potion so much as he naturally grows up to become Rick. That this final scene isn't a time loop or anything like that, but rather a shot from many years later when Morty is himself an old man. In other words, what we know
That
of
would be
as Rick is just
crazy,
an
yeah.
old grown-up Morty. Morty survives the battle against the genociders and goes on with his life. At some point, he drinks
Oh,
the potion
Rick
and
is
gains
a
Rick's
Morty.
memories, but it does nothing to him physically.
Bro, I
Morty
feel
just
like I gotta
grows up
fasten my
and lives
edits
out
to
his
say
life.
word,
The
but
idea that Morty grows up to become his own grandfather, or that Rick is just an older version of Morty, is certainly a strange one, and certainly a bit confusing, but it's one that's supported by imagery in this episode. Right before Rick goes off to the fight, we see a momentary shot where the camera fades between a shot of Morty's face and Rick's overlapping. Now, that might seem like it's just a stylistic thing, but to me, it's clearly the animators telling us that these two separate people are actually one and the same. Now, this would have itself a few interesting consequences. One, it allows Morty to stay safe, avoiding the murderous intent of evil Morty, who clearly has it out for C-137 or any of his descendants. Two, it aligns with the last words that Rick tells Morty before he goes off to the fight.
もう会えないの？
すぐに会えるさ。そしたらまた二人で冒険に出かけよう。
Rick, in this moment, knows that Morty
on
will
another
grow up to
adventure.
become him. They'll certainly have more adventures together, but this time, Morty will be in the role of Rick. It's a coy double answer. And three, it's
What?
something
Yeah,
that's
this hurt
actually
in
been
my
alluded to
head,
in the show
yo.
before. In that Tales of the Citadel episode again, we see the school where they train up Mortys. And who do we have in class with the Mortys? A dumb Rick.
Did I graduate this time yet?
Back then, it got people's minds working. If a dumb Rick is the equivalent of an up-and-coming Morty, could there be more to this connection here? This anime seems to suggest yes. Because here's the thing, theorists, regardless of the mechanism, whether it's
Okay, that kinda makes a
transformation or
lot- that
natural
kinda
age,
make
one
crazy,
thing
though,
that seems
that-
undeniable is that Morty becomes Rick. So the question is any of this canon? Well, I think so. The anime short goes a long way to reference specific moments and characters from throughout the TV series, explicitly naming this Rick as our Rick, C-137, all the visual parallels to evil Morty and his robotic Rick, outright calling out Season 2 and the memory parasites. I mean, remember, if their goal was to just tell a fun Rick and Morty themed story, it would have been very easy for them to do what the other anime short from
Man,
earlier
I'm not
this year did,
understanding.
and
You're
just
not
tell us that
understanding?
this
So
Rick was from a
basically-
different dimension.
So
But
basically,
they
they're trying to
actively-
say that basically Rick is a Morty. So basically, in that little anime sketch where supposedly drinking the vial turned Morty into Rick, it was actually Morty just growing older and becoming Rick. You feel me? Like, Morty was always Rick, and I guess like that's to be a reason in the future where Morty had to just change his name and become Rick, or he is Rick. He had to change his name, and then he had a family, and then him family growing up, basically having a kid, which is Morty, and that's basically him as a kid. So infinitely, Rick is basically a Morty, and a Morty is a Rick. So that's like, what the fuck? And the whole time, they basically reference where the Ricks train Mortys to become, you know, Mortys. but in reality, it just trained them to become future Ricks. So I'm like, is that like the biggest secret out of this whole show, yo? That'd be insane, though. That'd be insane. You feel me? 'Cause I love this show. I love this show, yo.
Do that. So that is already a huge possible revelation here. But I think there's one more thing.
That's what I'm
Remember
saying, yo. That's
hallucination
just
that
whole
evil
mind
Morty
fucks
had
you,
of
yo.
Rick?
これがお前らの時間か。クソだな。
It shows a familiarity, a past relationship. Evil Morty hallucinating C-137 Rick trolling him shows an inferiority complex, a psychological need to prove to this specific Rick that he's better, that he's smarter, he's more capable. And that doesn't make sense unless, as many have already suspected, this Morty is Rick's original Morty.
That's what I'm
One
trying to
thing
say,
that's
yo.
gone under-discussed
Yeah,
in
that's
videos about
insane,
Evil
yeah.
Morty is that he actively targets Rick C-137 throughout the TV series. In his first appearance, his plan is to frame Rick C-137 for the murder of all the other Ricks. That way, the Council of Ricks punishes him by death. The plan doesn't work. And here again, we see Evil Morty, despite having already taken over the Citadel, still targeting this specific Rick.
That's true.
Why?
That's very
Is he
true,
afraid
yo.
that Rick might take him out? It doesn't really make sense. Rick doesn't care about anything as long as he's left alone. No, this Morty has a personal vendetta against C-137 Rick. He wants to poke the beehive.
Rick and
He
Morty
has
isn't
something
confusing.
to
Yeah, it's
prove.
confusing,
He
but you need
wants
to like, you
see
need to
this Rick
really,
suffer. It's the
need to
Mortiest
really like
Morty
look at
versus
it
the
and
Rickest
understand
Rick.
it. That's the
Evil
best way I
Morty
can say
appears
it.
to be Rick's
Because
original
each
Morty,
episode,
which, as we just
low-key, are
learned,
connected
is
to all each
also
other.
kind of himself.
It's just different
Talking about Rick and
adventures,
Morty
and
gets
at
to be
the end,
kind
like
of
always
weird
at the
sometimes.
end or
Of
in the
course,
beginning,
all of these lore
it just
bits and
shows they all
relationships
connect to
between
each
the
other, yeah.
characters are contingent on it actually being canon. And while I do think that all signs point to yes, I wouldn't put it past the show's creators to one day say that this was made by an entirely different writing team and therefore nothing in the anime is canon.
I don't want to see any more anime stuff happening to my son, Buster.
Which means that until season 5, it's all just a theory. A
Film
film
theory.
And cut.
That's y'all love film theory, yeah. Film theory, game theory, they man lit. Like they all lit, to be honest. Like this guy legit breaks it down, hands on no cap.